Hi, boys and girls. How are you today? Like my dogs? Do you know what kind of dog has spots? Have you ever seen a dog with spots? Do you know what kind of dog that is? That's called a Dalmatian. Dalmatians are dogs that have spots. And I have 5 Dalmatians with me, and we're going to try to see which Dalmatian has the most spots? Like Miss Kathy has spots on her scarf. So let's count some spots. Let's start with this doggy. This doggy doesn't look like he has very many spots. Now remember, that's a nose. So we're not going to count the nose. We're just going to count spots. And I only see one spot around his eye. He's all white, but he has one spot. So let Miss Kathy find her number one. So that one has one spot. Let's count this doggy. Boy, he looks like he's got a lot of spots. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, 7 spots. Let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did we get them all? Think so. Okay, which one should we do next? You want to do this one up here? Now you have to count with me, okay? Ready? Don't count the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see any more? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me find my 4. Okay, so he has 4. Let's do this doggy down here, okay? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3, 3, 3. Let's stick 3 in there. Okay, that's that doggy. Okay, we have one more doggy to count. Let's start at the top. 1, 2. You count with me? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, we better double check that. That was a lot of spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, he's really a spotty dog. Now, so we counted all our spots. Which dog has the most spots? The most. Okay, I'll move my finger and you shout and tell me when to stop. The most. Whoa! Look at the spots on him. He has the most spots. Which dog has the least spots? The least. Okay, the least. Okay, he's told me this one had the most. So we'll start over here. Tell me when to stop. The least. Here? That's right. He only has one spot. He has the least amount of spots. He has the most, and he has the least. Well, if you haven't guessed it already, I think there might be a spotty dog in my story today. Do you think? It's a really good story. It's a little story about this boy, and his name is Petey. Now, Petey wanted a friend really badly. He was the only little boy in his family, no brothers or sisters, and he never had anybody to play with. And he asked Jesus, please, could I have a little baby brother? And do you know what? God answered his prayer. And pretty soon, little Joey came home. Oh, how much fun. Now I'll have somebody to play with. But when Joey came home, Joey was just a baby. Joey couldn't play cars with him, and Joey couldn't build a house with him, And Joey couldn't go and run and climb a tree with Petey. He was just a baby. And Joey made a lot of noise, wah, all the time. And sometimes, don't tell anybody, sometimes Joey smelled really bad. Phew! Well, that certainly wasn't the friend that Petey thought he would have. But one day, his daddy kind of knew that he wanted a good buddy, a good friend. And one day, Daddy brought home a surprise underneath his coat. Now you have to look very closely. Do you see some spots? What do you think's underneath his coat? Do you think it's one of our spotty dogs? We'll find out. Well, Dad got home and he said, Pete, I have something for you. Okay, Dad, I'm coming. I'm reading my storybook. Come here, Pete, I got something to show you. I'm coming, Dad. Hang on just a minute. Oh, it's a special surprise. And Pete thought, oh, I hope it's not another baby brother, because Joey's really noisy and he's really smelly. So I hope it's not another little brother. And Dad came in and goes, look what I have for you. And Pete turned around, and there on the floor was the skinniest, scrawniest, dirtiest, saddest looking dog he had ever seen. Dad, where'd you find him? Oh, someone just left him and kind of abandoned him, and he looks like he's half starving, and I thought I'd bring him home, and maybe you might like to take care of him and help him to feel better. Petey called his mom, Mom, come look what I have, come look what I have. And Mommy came in and she said, what in the world is that? Mommy, it's the best doggy in the whole world. Look at him. Isn't he great? And Mommy looked, and all she saw was a very dirty, very skinny, very hungry doggy. But she looked at Daddy, and Daddy kind of winked at her, and she goes, well, I suppose we can keep him, but let's make him something to eat. He looks really hungry. So Mommy made something for the dog, and she said, well, what are you going to call your dog? And Joey looked at the dog and he said, I don't know. I think I'm going to call him Spot. And Mom said, you sure you don't want something, maybe a better name than Spot? And he goes, no, I think I want to call him Spot. He looks like a hero dog to me. And Mama looked at him and said, I think he kind of looks like a hobo dog, but maybe once we bath him, he'll look better. So they fed Spot, and then it was Spot's bath time. Now, I don't know who was more wet in the bathtub, if it was Spot or if it was Joey. But Joey scrubbed his dog, and Mama said, don't scrub too hard. You don't want to scrub his spots off. And scrubbed him, and oh, he looked so much better. And Petey and Spot got to be the best buddies everywhere. I mean, they went everywhere together. They played together. And Spot was the best dog and the best friend that Petey ever had. Now, Joey started to grow up, and years went by. And pretty soon Joey was up and walking around, and he could play a little bit with Pete. And Pete and Joey were getting to be good friends too. But Spot was definitely Pete's best friend. Well, one night, now Petey was about 9 years old, and little Joey was about 3 years old. So Joey was still kind of a little toddler, but they still had Spot. And it was very cold outside, and Daddy had turned the heater on in the living room, the little kerosene heater, and everybody went to bed. And Spot always slept right at the bottom of Petey's bed. They were best buddies. Well, during the night, Spot smelled some smoke. And he knew there was danger. And Spot started to bark as loudly as he could bark. He barked so loud and started pulling on Petey's covers and waking him up. And Petey's like, "What are you doing, Spot? Why are you waking?" And he woke up and he smelled it. He goes, "Oh no!" And Petey got up and he started to get out of the room. And Spot ran down the hallway and he's barking and he's waking everybody up. And Mommy and Daddy woke up and they said, "Oh, there's a fire. We got to get out of here." And they grabbed Pete, and they were trying to get outside, but nobody could get to Joey's room. Remember, Joey's only 3 years old, so he's only little. And they got outside and there were flames all over the house. And Dad said, "Well, I got to go back in. I got to go in and try to find Joey. Little Joey's in there." And someone called 911, one of the neighbors, and the fire department came, and they were just looking for Joey. They had to go in and find Joey. And one of the neighbors says, "Well, look, the dog has him." And sure enough, there was Spot pulling little Joey out of the fire. Well, the firemen ran over and they took care of Joey right away. And Joey was a little bit hurt, but he was fine. And they called the ambulance, and Mommy and Joey got in the ambulance, and they took him to the hospital to take care of all his boo-boos and make sure he was okay. And oh, Pete didn't know what to do. Spot wasn't moving at all. He was just lying in the snow, and you could see he had some burns on him. And Petey went running over to his dog, and the fireman said, "Don't touch him right now. Let us take care of him for a minute." And they brought some oxygen over, and before you know it, you heard a little woof, woof, woof. And it took a long time for Spot to get better, but Spot was fine. And Spot had saved Joey, and he had really saved the whole family because he woke everybody up and saved them from the fire. Now, Petey and Joey and their mommy and daddy, they lost a lot in the fire because the fire really damaged their house. But they were all fine, and they were thanking God that they were fine. And they were thanking God for a faithful dog and a faithful friend like Spot, who was willing to almost give up his life to save them from that fire. And afterwards, when little Joey was feeling better, and when Spot was feeling a little bit better, they had a big parade just for Spot. And look where Spot got to sit. He got to sit on the fire truck. He certainly wasn't a hobo anymore. He was a hero dog because he was willing to give his life for his friends, his family. That's the verse we're going to learn today. We're going to learn a verse about friends. Friends. And this verse says, I'll read it to you, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." And it's found in the book of John 15:13. John 15:13. "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." John 15:13. "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." John 15:13. And we're going to learn one of the coolest signs that I know, that Miss Kathy knows, and it's the sign for friend. Friend. Now you're going to take your two pointy fingers, one on both hands, and you're going to hook them together. See what Miss Kathy's doing? You're going to hook them this way, then you're going to turn them and hook them this way. Hook, hook, friend. 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 Think of your best friend at school or your best buddy in the neighborhood. And that's the sign for friend. You could say, you are my friend. You and me were friends. Let's try to sign the song. Ready? Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. John 15:13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. John 15:13. One more time. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. John 15:13. In our Bible story today, we're going to meet a man who has some friends. Let's count how many friends he has. 1, 2, 3, 4. He has 4 friends. Now they are carrying this man. Can you see that he's on a bed? Why do you think he's on a bed? He could not walk. He could not walk like you and I can walk and like his friends can walk. Some people are born and they can't walk and they have to maybe use a wheelchair. Well, this man was on a bed and he was very ill and he could not walk. Now these 4 friends thought if they could get their friend to Jesus, because Jesus was in town, that maybe Jesus could help their friend. So they carried their friend and they went to the house where Jesus was speaking. But when they got there, the house was so crowded. There were so many people there. There were people in front of the door and people in front of the windows. And they couldn't, because they had the man on this big bed, they couldn't get anywhere near the house. And if they couldn't get near to the house, they couldn't get their friend to Jesus. But they were such good friends, they weren't about to quit. Now, in the Bible days, houses looked a little different than our house. Our houses, most of them, have a roof like this that kind of points up. Well, in Bible times, the roof was flat, and it was usually made out of stuff like, you would kind of think like straw and stuff like that, like grass, a real heavy grass. And the houses were made out of stone. Now, they had something on their houses that you probably don't have on the side of your house. You might have them inside your house, but I don't think you have them outside your house. They had steps. They had steps where you could go up to the top of the roof. Isn't that cool? Wouldn't that be fun to be able to climb up and sit up on the roof of your house? Well, that's what they did back in Jesus' day. Now, when the friends brought the man to Jesus, remember I told you the house was all crowded. The door was crowded. You couldn't get in anywhere. There were so many people in there listening to Jesus talk. Well, they looked at the house and they had a really good idea. These 4 friends thought, what if we take our friend clear up to the roof? We'll make a little hole in the roof and we'll drop our friend down very carefully into the middle of the room. That way he could see Jesus. And that's what they did. They climbed up to the roof. Do you see one of the friends up there, a couple of the friends? And now that roof wasn't like our roof. You could make a hole in it pretty easily. And they made a hole, and Jesus was in the room teaching. What do you think he thought when this man on a bed came down in the middle of the room? Well, those friends did a really good job because Jesus looked at the man and told him to get up and walk. Now remember, I told you the man could not walk, but Jesus is God, and Jesus can heal, and Jesus can do wonderful things. Well, that man got up, rolled up his bed, and he could walk. He must have been so thankful that he had such good friends that would take him to see Jesus. Do you know that Jesus is the Bible says that Jesus, he was a better friend than those four friends. As hard as they worked to get that man to Jesus, Jesus is even a better friend to us, because we did a story about how Spot almost died saving little baby Joey. Well, Jesus did die, and he died on the cross, and he died for us. He died for you and for me, to take away all of our sins when we believe on him, when we believe he came, lived a perfect life, died on the cross, rose again, and went back to heaven. When we believe in him, we get to be saved, and we get to go to heaven someday. He gave his life for his friends. And that's what this verse is about. There is no greater love. Mommy loves you, and Daddy loves you, and lots of people love you. But there's no greater love that someone has for you than Jesus, because Jesus gave his life for his friends. Could we try our verse one more time? Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. John 15:13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. John 15:13. Let's sing it one more time, and this time let's think about Jesus. Let's think about that friend we have that loved us so very much. He was willing to come from heaven and die on the cross for us. He loved us that much. I don't have any better friend than Jesus. Let's think about him as we sing. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. John 15:13. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Psalm 119:11. Do you remember that one? That's a tough one. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Psalm 119:11. Do you remember the sign for hid? Take your thumb and hide it. Hide it. Hid. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Psalm 119:11. Thy word have I hid in mine heart. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Psalm 119:11. I love you, boys and girls. I am so happy that you are and we'll see you next time.